Hello, welcome to Quackalope. Thank you for being here. Today we're swinging into a shelf or sell review
of Cuphead, the fast-rolling dice.
Yeah, that works. We don't cut these videos though, so we're diving forward just like our shelf or sell segment. If you've been following along, we're breaking down every game in our collection with a few that either just arrived or are middle grounds that we're not quite sure if we want to keep them or put them on the cull list.
And therefore, we have to play them over the next few weeks and then bring them to you guys and tell you what our final thoughts are about the game.
Now, we are solidifying this review format. We actually just took some notes on what we want to do. This breakdown, and we're going to have timestamps down below, we're going to talk about our first impressions of this game, what we were looking for and expecting, what the audience seemed to be talking about when we brought it to you, because we've already started the conversation here.
Yeah, back then when we had it on the Shelf or Sell segment, what were we thinking that this game might bring to the table? Were we excited? Were we wary? What were our initial gut feelings about it?
I'm going to give you a quick 2 to 3 minute overview of the game and how it functions, and then we're swinging into a flip on our right for you, wrong for you style.
We are going to look at the entire game and say what was right for me and what was wrong for me.
Yeah.
And same thing for Jesse.
Just
what
like
about the game was right for him and what was wrong for him?
Exactly. Just like we encourage you to do when we break down a right for you, wrong for you series, where we help you analyze a game to see if it's one you want to add to your collection. We still don't make cuts. To see if it's one you want to add to your collection. We're going to do that for ourselves, to talk about our own personal collection.
And then finally, we are going to tell you whether it landed on our shelf or on our sell calyx. And you might be able to get some hints along the way, but timestamps down below, you can jump ahead if you just want where it's going.
Yeah, either way, let's go ahead and set up. What were our first impressions of Cuphead? And I'll let you start, because I probably have the most.
So, I was actually going to let you start, because you have the experience of the video game.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Thank you. You have the experience of the video game, and so you have more context for it. You were just kind of presenting me a game, and you told me that this is based off a video game. We're going to be rolling dice and fighting big bosses.
Yeah.
And I actually kind of had a little bit of an expectation of, oh my goodness, their townsfolk tussle. So the big boss battle or Vagrant Song, kind of those.
It's got the same art style, that golden era, like 1920s type of art.
Yeah, so it had the same art style just by looking at the box, and that was kind of what I was launching into and expecting. I was expecting a medium weight game, actually.
So for me, I was not expecting a medium weight game. However, I was expecting something that gave me the feeling of a side-scroller. In the video game, you're doing it's called a side-scrolling. You're moving along a simple, like, 2D platformer, jumping from level to level, or flying up in the air, dodging bullets, and trying to defeat a boss. It's an efficiency puzzle in a video game, and it's all about timing, and min-maxing, and choosing the right moment to take your attack, or move out of the way, and learning the patterns of the characters that you're fighting against. And in some ways, I think this echoes that, but I was really looking for that system. I wanted to feel like I was playing on a side-scroller with beautiful Cuphead artwork and aesthetic, and really feel like I could learn, perfect, and start reacting to the systems that were in play. However, this was also a straight-to-retail published by the OP. And my experience with the OP, they usually make some good games, but I often find that they're on the lighter side and they're on the mass market side.
Gotcha.
So I don't always trust them as a publisher when I see things go. They usually do straight to retail on big box stores. That's an IP that'll sell to a lot of video gamers, and I trust them to have mechanics that might be good to get people into the hobby, but not always things that are right for me immediately.
Okay.
So I had mixed expectations. I was excited because of the theme, especially when I first saw the game come out, and then my expectations probably went back down to a middle level.
Before you even open the box.
Before we even open the box. And I just thought of something that we need to make sure we do in these videos, that because we're still fluctuating the format. When we get down to whether or not it's staying or going, we're also going to attach a rating to it on that 5-point scale, right? 5 with decimals. So
perfect.
Either way, let's start diving in.
An overview of the game.
You want to set up the premise?
Hope you've enjoyed your Monday.
Alexa, stop.
I mean, I have enjoyed my Monday, but, you know, very, very nice of you to say.
Triggered her.
Either way,
sorry
we
if I triggered all of
cut.
your guys' devices as
We
well.
don't cut this video. Do you want to set up what's happening here?
So we are each playing as a character from the game. We are going to be facing these boss battles. We're going to be unlocking higher and higher, more complicated and terrifying bosses as we go along. We are going to have their attack cards that we have to defend against by rolling our dice. We are going to roll our dice and try to get the symbols that are at the bottom of the cards. Every new boss adds some more rules and some difficult difficulties and changes. We are also going to have access to gear cards and charms and spells that will give us some mitigation with those dice. But basically, we're going to have an array of symbols that we have to get. We're going to madly roll these dice in different timed segments and hope that we don't die.
I also see this game as a touch of a legacy-ish game. As you're playing, you're going to be opening up new boss decks that you can learn and perfect. You're going to be scoring and giving yourself a score for every game you play, and getting coins and items that upgrade and change the way that you're interacting.
It is a replayable legacy game, because traditionally in a legacy game you rip up components and you cannot go back to playing it. The rulebook actually is very helpful, and it gives you instructions on how to reset the boss deck so that you can replay it, so that you can try and get a better score.
It's 100% on the lighter side of legacy, but I do think it introduces that concept of the game that still lives, that encourages you to go back and re-explore it, but progresses forward, and really is a game that has a story engine where you'll play from boss deck 1 through boss deck 8, maybe take some time to go for the special super envelopes, but for the most part, once you clear boss deck 8, unless you love the game and love the puzzle, you probably had just about as much as you want of the game. Any other major things?
I think that was coverage on it all.
I think that's the core concept, right? Some of the mechanics that we've seen that have changed up the game have been things like different symbols substituting, some symbols saying you can't place a dice, some saying you must place a dice.
Sometimes you have to stack the dice.
Doing extra damage or giving you bonuses based off of what card. And every scenario and every phase has new little puzzles that are actually fairly interesting. They do change up the game decently. So, that's the overview.
Wrong for you.
Right for you, wrong for you. Let's start with what has made this right for us.
Okay. The artwork is... I'll just jump into it. The artwork is one of the things that pulled me into the game. I do love the style of artwork, Tussle, Vagrant Song. It is fantastic. That's about it that was right for me.
You've never played a dice rolling game before. You've never played a timed
I have Roll for the Galaxy. I haven't played a real timed game, but I did play Roll for the Galaxy.
That's not dice rolling though.
It is rolling. You have a couple of dice and you're rolling it.
It's more dice allocation. I mean the real time where you're constantly rolling to try to match symbols.
This was my first.
Did you mention that it was a timed? You either go 10 seconds, 15 seconds,
or 20
seconds.
Various times. You can do 10, 15, 20.
So, that's it?
That's it.
That's all you're going to give it?
Yeah.
Interesting. All right.
You say what's right for you.
What might make this game right for me? I don't typically enjoy dice rolling games. I do find them a little bit hectic and stress-inducing, and I don't always love the randomness. But this is a bite-sized dice rolling game. You can get a game onto the table and play a brand new scenario in about 15 to 20 minutes, which I actually think is a really big accreditation to it. The puzzle is interesting. It does change from scenario to scenario, and there's a lot of fun to be had here, packed into a tight amount of time. And if you don't enjoy playing dice rolling games, you could probably be convinced to play this for 15 or 20 minutes. It doesn't extend the anxiety for the hour or 2 hours that some of them encourage. That being said, there are some other things that I also like. Trying to keep it to the positive side of this, right?
Yes, you cannot jump into the wrong for you. I get first jab at it.
I like the boss decks. I do like the way they changed the game. I also like the secret or super secret envelopes.
Did you feel the boss decks felt different? Like, according to who the character that was portrayed.
So this isn't the criticism section yet.
I know, I was just asking you because you said you like the boss decks.
I like the boss decks. I like the boss decks because they introduce a new phase, a new type of play to the game, and you sequence through a series of phases where you have a series of bosses that are transforming that you're fighting. Feels accurate to the video game, and the puzzle does develop upon itself. I also like that this is a more mass market game that is adding things like save systems, adding things like cards that are going to upgrade your abilities and change the way you play your dice, and objective packets.
Yeah.
I love the little encouragement to continue opening, pulling, plugging. All of those things are fun to do. You get an extra special power. You have a pile of coins to spend, or you get to open one of those super art envelopes. Honestly, I'm a little like, I've got this bug in me that wants to keep playing just to open a few of those, because I don't want to be the person that opens them without doing it, but I want to know what's inside, and I like that.
I have to agree that the new rules in each boss deck is entertaining and is enjoyable. It reminds me of Relics of Rahaviera, honestly, because that is like going through different puzzles
Every
and you
deck
have
introduces a new thing you're facing.
Exactly. So that was what it reminded me of, and I do enjoy that system.
Negatives. What might make this wrong for you?
This didn't feel very thematic. I know you're talking about a side-scrolling game. It did not feel like I was side-scrolling. I have played a game, and I cannot remember what it was.
played a game.
I played many games. I played a game that was actually taken off of a video game that we were jumping up and down and sliding down the ledges. Gravity was taking... Platformer. That actually was the most close likeness to a video game IP that I have felt in all the games that I have tried. This one didn't really do the side scrolling for me. I didn't feel like the boss decks had much to do with the character they were portraying. I liked the different rules that they brought, but I didn't feel like the rules really had to do with a genie. Like, don't do this. I guess maybe 3 wishes, but that's really stretching it. I didn't like the restriction on not being able to use my powers and abilities for different types of decks. Certain types of the decks are airplane, and I cannot use the enhancements that I have built up and those systems that I have kind of ingrained in my mind that like I'm always allowed to use a diamond in place of something. It was kind of like a wild for me, or that I can just do different damage.
Now that is them trying to tie it to the video game a little bit, because you go through modes where sometimes you're on the ground in a platformer sense, and sometimes you're flying, and it does change the way that you're interacting with the boss.
So I think a way that it would have fixed it for me was having a equivalent airplane, like flipping it over and having the equivalent airplane mode. Something that was different enough, but still give me some more powers and abilities. Because I'm leveling up. I'm up to the 4th box. I shouldn't just have my one shooter.
One big complaint from me around the airplane mode right now is that we haven't been given the opportunity to purchase or upgrade airplane mode specifically. We've upgraded base mode, but there's been no purchasable cards in that other mode, and it would be nice if some of them existed. Either way, what else is wrong for you in this game?
I don't like real-time element.
First time you've played real-time, right?
First time. I do not like the anxiety. I do not like the stress. I like being able to think through my turns. I like being able to maximize the turns. And not that like I want to have analysis paralysis, but I don't enjoy having a 10 second. Do you realize how fast 10 seconds is? To roll the dice, pick them back up, roll them again. That's about 8 seconds.
About 3 or 4 rolls.
2 to 3 is what I was managing between looking at all the faces and putting them down and then rolling them. You get about 2 to 3, and that is really hard if you are very unlucky with some of your dice rolls. I felt like it was very punishing. I did not feel it was possible to get an A score. We have played numerous times, and the highest score we got was a C. As a straight A student in school, this was awful and traumatic for me. I hated that I didn't see an A. I never got grades this low. You might have gotten grades this low, but this was awful for me.
Whoa, where did that jab come from in the middle of that?
Just jabbing. My lowest grade in school was a B, and so not being able to even reach the B's was just awful to me. And so that was also something that wasn't my taste. Besides for that, I felt you can die really quickly, and then once you do revive, it is hard to maintain yourself. You come back with 1 health point as opposed to the 3 you started out with. And if you get knocked out, you lose all your capability to revive your friend.
You do.
So you really have only 1 death in each entire boss deck.
Unless you're able to grab an extra token.
Right.
Which you might be able to. Sometimes, rarely.
Those are the things that were wrong for me. I don't know how much I've missed.
So, things that make this wrong for me, I'm not a lover of real-time games. Oftentimes, they don't score that high. I've never had one hit a 5 out of 5. I find them interesting, but dice don't love me, and so I don't love them, and it's just the nature of it. It's just the nature of it. I also don't think this does an integration with the video game very well. Has the art, has the theme, and I can see what they're going for on the lighter side, right? You do have a series of new objectives and new ways you're facing off against a boss. But the puzzle of Cuphead is a puzzle that is controllable. You learn the sequences, the mapping, the way the AI is going to respond to you. It's why people can speedrun it or perfectly get like a perfect score on a map. There's no perfect score here because you're introducing so much chaos and so much randomness to it that there can't be. Unless you just get that lucky chance. But Cuphead isn't about luck. Cuphead is about precision and accuracy. And I don't feel like replaying or going back into the event makes you necessarily better. It did get us the C.
It got us the D plus to a C. We jumped up 2 whole levels. We cut down our time. It was a miserable experience.
We cut down our time from 20 seconds to 10 seconds to give us a point bonus at the end.
Yeah.
We were better at rolling because we've been doing it for a couple hours.
And we also had a bunch of upgrades that we had gotten.
And we had upgrades. Now here's my complaint on the upgrades. I think I'd be likely to continue exploring this game without the airplane mode. The airplane mode, I get it changes the puzzle, but it hasn't given me control over that puzzle. I actually liked going back to phase 1 and replaying with the upgrades that I had, because I felt like that's how I get from a C or a D to a B or an A, and I think it is possible. Despite what you say, I think with the right amount of upgrades and the right amount of time and replays, you can definitely get that A+, and that would feel really good. However, if you're not giving me control over the puzzle I'm solving, it doesn't feel like a Cuphead game, and it doesn't feel like something that I want to revisit. I want to revisit because there's a way that I can do better. I don't necessarily see a way I can do better outside of rolling faster and rolling more, like rolling better, like rolling luckier. And so rolling luckier shouldn't be the main mechanic that lets me do better.
One thing that I was thinking about is each dice has one of each symbol. So you are having a 1 out of 6 chance with each dice to get the symbol you want. I think a way that they could have integrated it is with each boss deck, giving you additional dice or different dice that were specialized in some of the symbols to exchange out.
If this had been a dice crafting game, get a little bit change out the dice, get some stickers to add to the sides.
Get some wilds.
It would have been fun. It would have been fun. There's ways where this could be more complex and heavier. I don't think it would be right for mass market. I'm going to be honest, I think this is actually a surprisingly good mass market game. People who are brand new to the hobby, who've never played a real-time game, they grab this. This is dice rolling, this is fun, this is dumb, you're assigning dice as quickly as possible, and it grows and levels up with you. I honestly would not shy away from recommending this as someone's first real-time dice rolling game. I think as far as that space goes, I don't know of many games that do this better for the size, scale, and the scope that it presents. But I've got a lot of complaints and a lot of things that don't hit it out of the park for me when it comes to the integration with the video game and what I expect from that IP, and when it comes to just my overall experience with a title like this. Yeah. So swinging down to our review, final thoughts, and whether or not this is staying.
In case you couldn't tell,
shelf or sell?
It is not staying. It is going on the sell shelf as soon as Jesse's done with it.
Here's the thing.
I seem like you want to try and go for those super arts, which I'll let you.
I have one question in my mind, and it really is going to come down to the audience and what they're interested in. I kind of want to do a straight video game comparison with Cuphead. I want to analyze the boss decks, try to look into the design principles, and do a review that contrasts it to whether or not it did its IP right. If people are interested in that, let me know. But that's the reason that I might hold on to this for another game or two solo, because you're not interested in playing it. But I agree with you. I think this one is going to leave. I might show it to Alex to see if he's intrigued by it. The only thing that would have me on the edge of keeping it is that I think this is probably the best way to introduce someone to a real-time dice rolling game.
I don't feel like real-time dice rolling is a good skill to introduce people to. So therefore, I don't think we need a game that does it well.
Yeah, the more I talk about it, the more I want to be on the edge of keeping it. I really do. I just don't think I'll ever play it, which is the sad part. I think there's reasons to have this, though.
I
think there's reasons to have it. Let's go ahead and give it our scores.
You go first.
I'm going to give this... It's going to be a 3.
Okay.
And it's going to be probably a 3.3 to 3.5. Our ranking system is 1 is a bad game.
1 is a bad game. 2 is a game that is not for you. 3 is a good game. 4 is a great game. 5 is...
You skimmed over that a lot. 1's a game that's just a bad game.
Yeah.
No one should play that game. 2 is a good game, but you don't want to seek it out, and you might choose to do other things if someone wants to play it. 3 is a really good game. It's a solid game that you're happy to play, but you're maybe not asking to play. 4
is a great game. But has some decent criticisms that
take away
from the experience and keep it from becoming a 5.
And 5 is not a perfect game, but it is a great game that you're disappointed if your friends don't like, and doesn't have meaningful criticisms that take away
from the experience
of the game.
So with that being said, we almost have to print it out and laminate it.
Yeah, whatever.
You ranked it a 3.3.
Yeah,
so
3.3.
It is a good game.
It's a good game.
You're not going to really ask for it, which is why I don't think it should sit on the shelf.
If someone wanted to play real time, I would not mind this one. And
Okay.
if Alex liked it, I could see us sitting down for an afternoon, 3 hours, going through the rest of the box.
Okay. But like you said in the beginning of the video, once you go through the entire box, are you going to
You're
want
probably
to
done.
go through it again?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But some people really like this type of puzzle.
Yeah.
For instance, a game like Rolling Realms. That has a solo mode where Alex and I think we're going to play everything in it. But it's a simple little lightweight puzzle. Some people love these type of puzzles. This one's too random for me to love.
Yeah. I'm ranking it 2.3.
2.3, a whole point down from me.
It was, yeah, I mean, 2.3. This is not a game for me.
No.
I would probably actively seek out other activities if I heard it was being played within my game group. I would look to edit or cook or do something. If I had absolutely nothing in the world to do, I would sit down. But this is not one that is for me.
Yeah. Well, either way, there you have it. That's going to be our shelf or sell review of Cuphead. Let us know, do you like the format? Do you want any other details in there?
Kind of did a hybrid between our right for you, wrong for you, our confirmation bias,
There's a little
and
mix.
before you back.
We've
So
got a few different formats.
there's
we play
elements
with.
that you want.
Either way, whatever the case, whatever you do.
Remember to do the important thing. Get out and play some games. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thanks.